College football week 4. It's Thursday evening, and this is the most anticipated time of the week for some of our viewers, and that is because this is when Steve from collegefootballwinning.com blesses us with his free picks. Steve, of course, went 10-1 against the spread with his free picks list last year and started off this year with a winner with us, making him 11-1. ATS over his last 12 picks, and Steve often picks lesser games, lower profile games to discuss with us, and this week he has another one, the South Alabama game at home against NC State. And Steve, it's an interesting game that you've chosen here because at least on paper, there's some major positive signs for both these teams, right? South Alabama coming off of a very impressive straight-up win over San Diego State, a quality program, and that is, the coach for South Alabama and the players are very happy about that win, and any way you slice it, that's very impressive. But NC State, 3-0 against the spread so far this year. They've played lower tier competition on the caliber of South Alabama, and they've handled them very well, winning and covering all 3 of those games. And on defense, they've been especially effective against teams on South Alabama's level. So, the line has moved a little bit. NC State right now is a 17-point favorite. That's up from 16 earlier in the week. You obviously have an opinion here. What do you like here, Steve?
Thank you, Peter. I do have an opinion right now, and that is subject to change as the line changes, of course, which brings me to sort of my first point that, I look at spreads in this betting market, in sports betting, and all I do is college football betting. I look at them as priced assets. Okay, so if you're looking at the price, it's not necessarily the team or the teams, but it's at what cost. So what's the price? So in this case, I think this is a case where the pricing for both teams is off. I think the valuation, if you want to look at it from a power ratings perspective, I think it's off a little bit, or I shouldn't say a little bit, significantly enough that I have an opinion on this game right now. NC State's power rating is probably inflated by our numbers by about 4 points. Why is that? They beat Troy, Eastern Kentucky, Old Dominion. That shouldn't have impressed anyone too much, I wouldn't think, but somehow that has inflated their line. Now, they have covered those spreads, so that could be the reasoning there. South Alabama is, we believe, undervalued by about 3 points here, and that is understandable because in their opening game, they slipped by an FCS team, Gardner-Webb, and they just got throttled by Nebraska in their second game. But so if you put that together, and we're looking at these prices, you probably get some assets that are mispriced by as much as a touchdown here. So that's sort of my first reason. South Alabama is 5-2 against the spread, using the opening line actually, versus Power 5 schools. And that includes going 2-0 against NC State. Now, 2 of NC State's offensive guards, Alex Barr and Bryce Kennedy, they're not going to play in this game. And in the case of someone like Alex Barr, he's the 6th most experienced player on the entire team. And that sort of, my bringing this up, I'm obliquely touching on the idea that this is a bit of a look-ahead spot, I believe, for NC State as they go into ACC play next week facing Louisville. So I think this is a case of, even though coaches will go on with their coach speak, never looking ahead, never going past the next game in front of them, I think they are, in terms of personnel, I think they're holding out some people that otherwise would have gone had they been playing Louisville this week. And I also think that will be reflective in the play calling and the play on the field. Now, South Alabama, they like to run the ball. They're sort of old school. They're coached by Joey Jones. I've talked about him for a number of years with you, Peter. He's an old Bear Bryant disciple. But what's different this year is they have a ton of UAB transfers, thanks to that whole UAB debacle of that program folding and then being reinstated for 2017. Just looking at the offense alone, the offense alone has 5 starters from UAB who are on UAB's squad, a very effective offense last year. And that includes, one of the 5 includes senior quarterback Cody Clements. Now, for giving you an idea how good Cody Clements is, or was at least with UAB last year, of all the quarterbacks returning from 2014, Clements ranks 13th in terms of quarterback rating and 9th in terms of completion percentage. Now, I think he is just getting acclimated to this offense and the personnel around him, and I think that was reflective in last week's game against San Diego State. South Alabama's win over San Diego State, it was in overtime and it was by a touchdown, but they were 17.5-point underdogs in that game. And even the win doesn't effectively tell the full story. South Alabama outgained San Diego State in San Diego last week by 206 yards. That's 67.54%. So as of right now, Peter, and again, the conclusion could change by Saturday when this game is being played. As of right now, I like the South Alabama side getting at least 17 points.
That sounds great, Steve. And why do you think then that does it concern you that the line appears to have moved as of now in NC State's favor?
I am so glad that you brought this up, Peter.
Okay.
I was hoping you would ask me this question. And I want to put this idea to rest. You know, you're asking the right question because a lot of people believe what you believe about line movement indicating the sharp side.
No. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't.
Let me give you exact numbers. So now you can, when it comes to me, you can say, you know what, Steve has answered this question. And so here it is. Here's the answer to this question. College football line movement, when it comes to the spread, not total, so spread, the last 10 plus years, so 10 years plus this season so far, the line movement has indicated the correct side based on closing numbers 49.21% of the time, Peter.
Right.
So that means most of the time, it's telling you the wrong side. Most of the time. Now, if you're worried about, well, what about recently? This season alone, Peter, that closing line, the indication from opening to closing and using the closing line numbers has been right just 45.69% of the time. So if anything, Peter, when you say, hey, what about that line movement? You should say, you know what, that's a good sign in college football.
Well, you know, our regular viewers who watch my show every week with line manager at DSI Sportsbook know that that line movements in college football sometimes are caused by sharp action, but are also sometimes caused by big public action or big bets that are not necessarily from sharp accounts. All right, Steve from collegefootballwinning.com, liking South Alabama right now, getting 17 points. And Steve, for anyone who wants more than just your free weekly pick with us, they can go to your website, collegefootballwinning.com. Tell us what that's all about.
You come to collegefootballwinning.com. We're a company that analyzes college football only all year round, even in the off season. We are founded on making our betting recommendations algorithmically. So we use these algorithmic sets, and we call those sets, those betting recommendations based on those sets, our formula. Our formula is 62.75% against the spread the lifetime of this company. The formula hasn't started yet this season. We need to get sufficient data before our formula can start giving out betting recommendations. So you haven't missed any formula betting recommendations. In the lead up to the formula, we still give out other betting recommendations. And so far, Peter, for all of our betting recommendations this season, we're 64.52% against the spread so far this year. Our numbers are really falling into line, so we're very encouraged by what we're seeing early this season. So please come to collegefootballwinning.com, put in coupon code SBR10, that's SBR10, and we'll give you 10% off of any membership that we're currently offering. And again, you have not missed any formula betting recommendations so far this season.
Steve, thanks so much. We appreciate your thoughts and insights as always. Talk to you again next week.